Welcome to our Facebook Live today. I'm going to be, in a few minutes, I'm going to be welcoming Jackie and Naghten, who I'm sure is just logging in, ready to answer any questions you might have about having the right mindset around your money. These Facebook Lives this week and a few in the coming weeks are really brought to you because we're running an event on the 22nd of November called Making Your Cash Flow. It's going to be held at NatWest near Liverpool Street Station from 5 till 9 p.m. and as I've said on the 22nd of November, and it's especially for women in business. Whether you're a startup or you want to grow your business, this event is really about helping you to get a handle on your money. Perhaps you shy away from looking at your books. Perhaps you don't know how to sell. Perhaps you want to get an investor, don't know how to find an angel investor or who you should approach. This event is going to help you. It's going to help you have the right mindset for success. It's going to help you focus on your bottom line and the profit you need to sustain your business. I'm very excited about it. It's something that I've needed while being in business for the last 12 years, and it's something that I know will ensure that we have a lot more female entrepreneurs in the future. So today, when we're talking to Jackie, she's going to talk about how money can make money. Yeah. So there's a quote I've put out in the last few weeks, and that's been about the fact that actually saving money just means your money's sleeping. You need to do something with your money to make it work for you. And I think that's what Jackie will be sharing with us. So I'm really delighted to have these these Facebook Lives. I think they're quite exciting because actually we're just having a conversation. We're just helping the experts, the speakers, to share their expertise with you. And that's really very lucky. They've had a wealth of experience, years of experience in their field, and they know a huge amount about how to make money, how to succeed in business, how to have a sustainable business, how to have a situation where you're able to employ staff, where you're not worrying about where the next invoice will be paid, because without that, you won't have a roof over your head or a space for your business or be able to service the next client. And these are all things that we have all struggled with. Many of you starting a business may have to start thinking about actually becoming employed again because the business might not be delivering exactly what you want it to do. So we don't want that to happen. We want you to have a business that grows, that actually helps women who want to run their own businesses, or women who want to be, have a job through you. This is what we're looking for. So Jackie's here with us now. Welcome, Jackie.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I'm here in West London.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I'm here north of London in Hemel Hempstead. Thank goodness for Facebook Lives. We don't have to travel, but we can still be together. It's amazing.
No, I've just had to come downstairs. It was quite harrowing.
Yeah. I can imagine. So I've just been sharing really our event that's taking place on the 22nd of November, 5 till 9 p.m. at NatWest in Bishopsgate. And the fact that you are one of 9 amazing speakers who have agreed to be part of this event and share your expertise. And we're focusing on money, where, some people don't want to focus on money. They just want to focus on all the fluffy stuff or the job that they love to do. But actually, we need to talk about the important subject of money. And I'm delighted that you're here to talk about it. So thank you so much. And thank you for giving us your time.
It's my pleasure. It's a pretty important topic.
Absolutely, absolutely. If we want to be successful in business and actually live a happy life. So I want to start by understanding a bit about your business. Can you tell me about what your business is and what you do?
Well, my business, it's really more about how I've come to this point, because I started out very much in a traditional corporate career. I started with that amazing business we know, that amazing institution we know as Marks and Spencer.
Oh, wow.
Back in the 80s, where I was trained. very well actually at the time, because people used to invest more in young people at that time. So I was trained there. I then did a degree in business sponsored by them, which was amazing. I then went out into the fashion world of retail, and I worked in Burton Group, which then morphed into Arcadia. And I ended my sort of corporate career as a brand director for Topman Topshop Group, which was really, an amazing experience to be running in one of the, most popular fashion business on the high street. And I was actually responsible for opening the Oxford Circus store, which at the time, at the end of the 90s, I think was one of, billed as the biggest fashion store in the world. So that was very exciting. And the thing about being in a corporate is, and I was on the product side, you don't actually have your hand directly on the money. I mean, initially you don't have to worry about the money because you're a big business. I was a buyer. I was spending money effectively, committing budget to buy products for the company, but I wasn't actually responsible for the money. And it wasn't until I became more senior in the organisation that you then have responsibility for delivering budgets and delivering sales targets. And actually that was quite a shift for somebody who's quite sort of creative, to actually then have to account for my actions and the actions of my team in terms of the products we bought and the sales we delivered. And you start to realise, actually, I think when you're younger, you don't realise the impact of your decision making. But as you get older, you realise, well, actually, if we buy this, spend £1 million on this range of sweaters, are we going to make the £1 million sales target? And if we don't, it's going to cost us profit. And that took me a little while to kind of get my head around that. So that was my corporate career. I then moved out into the world alone, and I worked in a brand consultancy, which was a great time, building famous brands like Sainsbury's, Taste the Difference, this sort of thing, with a brand agency. So working on the other side of the coin. And then finally, I had my own consultancy for about 12 years, working with entrepreneurs, particularly around consumer-facing businesses, so fashion, accessories, food, anything that people bought, basically. And what was really interesting about that was it drew on all my years of corporate experience, because what people wanted to tap into was, how do M&S do it? What happens in these bigger companies? How, we've got over the start, we got out the starting stalls. We're 2, 3, 4, 5 years in. We're doing 2 million, 5 million, 6 million sales. How do we get to 20 million? That's the question. And so that was a very interesting time when I think, did my own personal MBA in understanding the entrepreneurial mindset and how these people, how these people need to grow their businesses and the things that they need to pay attention to grow their businesses. And a lot of that, of course, revolves around money.
Yes, absolutely. So I love the way you've described your journey, because it was a sort of foundation apprenticeship, in corporate life that it gave you so much in terms of your skills, your knowledge, your expertise, understanding how businesses worked.
And of course, you don't realise when you're younger how valuable that is. And I realised I wouldn't have been able to do anything in later life. Everything that's happened subsequently has been from those roots. And what you realise as well is, and I think this is quite common among entrepreneurs, is very often an entrepreneur will step into what I call a territory, an arena of business that they don't actually have experience or expertise in. They have an idea or an insight, because quite often the last thing I was ever going to do was open a chain of shops. Because I know everything about what can go wrong with managing retail stores. I might think of something else to do. And so the first thing I would, so it's because when you have a lot of knowledge about something, all the things that it can fall down in, whereas the entrepreneur is much more buoyed by the idea or the insight that they're going to build their business on. They're not aware initially of the pitfalls. They have to sort of learn those things, and particularly the entrepreneurial mindset is very much, often entrepreneurs need to learn by doing. You can tell them till you're blue in the face, but they still have to kind of do it themselves and then learn.
And that's why there isn't actually a blueprint to success, is there? Because we do have to keep making mistakes to learn the right direction to go in. Absolutely. So this idea, you've got this foundation in these corporates, you've done this brand consultancy with huge brands, and then kind of distilling that knowledge into, actually, how do I help someone who's maybe much smaller to think about scaling up to the level of some of these big corporates? And that's quite a leap, and that's where people often get stuck, because I think businesses plateau, don't they? And they think, I'm stuck, I don't know how to take the next step. So
Yes.
you've been helping organisations do that.
Yes. So if I give you an example, for example, you come across a business. I worked with a business which had a niche in cashmere sweaters. This is a few years ago, and they've been very successful for 3 years with their cashmere product.
Yes.
And there were sort of V-necks, you know, very basic product, and they've grown tremendously for 3 years. And then they hit a wall because at that point, everybody that they could reach that was based on their sort of sphere of influence and their mailing list, and everybody who wanted a V-neck or a crew neck or a whatever, you know, had one. And then the business plateaued for about a year, and then they started to panic and said, well, what are we going to do? And I met them. And the way I've always worked with my people is I've usually stumbled across them in my network, and they've asked to chat to me because they have a hunch that maybe I might have some knowledge that can help them. And I just simply ask them to tell me their story. What's their story? Where have they got to? What are their issues? And so over a period of about 1 or 2 hours, I start to see, you know, I can start to work out where their issue is. And this particular business, the issue was they didn't have enough new stuff.
Yeah.
Because the thing that drives clothing sales and fashion sales is having new things. And this is just an absolute basic lesson. You know, in Topshop, for example, you have to have new stuff coming in every week. If you don't have new stuff, you know, you're still going to sell basic things, but you've got to have new things. So I said to the guy who ran it, I said, well, the thing is, you're in the fashion business. And he said, oh, no, I'm not. I'm not in the fashion business. I'm in the cashmere sweater business. I said, well, if you stay in the cashmere sweater business, you'll become a discounter because you can only compete on price. But if you're in the fashion business, if you have a product that differentiates itself and develop a brand that customers are always excited about, then you can, you know, maintain your profit margins, your pricing, etc. So I said, the question for you is, the big question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to become a knitwear discount chain, or do you want to become a fashion business? And he hadn't thought that was the question.
No.
You know, he just wanted to know how to sell more sweaters. But actually, what you often realise is when you talk with business owners, entrepreneurs, they think they've got one, that the issue is X, but actually when you talk to them, you say, no, the issue is not X, the issue is Y.
Yes.
And in order to deal with X, we need to, you know, spend time on Y and understanding, you know, how to get that.
Yeah.
So there's no, I never go into a business or meet people with a sort of, this is what you do. You need to know what the story is, and you need to understand the person. And that's where the money thing comes in, because I think it's very important to understand the business owner's relationship with money, because a lot of people, you'll start the conversation, it would be, oh, if only we had more budget for marketing, if only we had more budget for more stock. So they say it's all about the money, so they spend all their time worrying about the money, which isn't helpful, because meanwhile time's going by, and what you need to do is something creative and positive with what you have.
Absolutely.
Rather than just think, how can I get more money, which is to go to the bank or get more investment. And actually, those are really big things to do, quite stressful, time consuming, and really take your eye off the ball. So it's working out how you can do the best with the money you've got.
Can I ask, how long do you normally work with a company? Is it sort of for a year? Or is it just for
Well, I mean, in this case, it depends. So I always start off doing something small, taking a particular thing and say, well, let's work on this together. And then let's see, you know, if we can work together and I make sense to you, and we build our relationship. And then quite often we work on that. And then, of course, inevitably, like in this particular instance, we needed to look at fashion. Well, that's actually quite a big thing. So actually we had to look at the whole business model and how they selected their product and bought their product, and then how they increased their product range, which entailed a whole, not a complete restructure of the business, but they had to think about getting somebody who just specialized on the product. And think about, you know, redoing their catalogue, looking at their photography. You know, I know all these sort of little tricks to kind of drive bestsellers. They never looked at, for example, they didn't interpret how the sales went, because as we know with money, it's always the 80-20. 20% of your range will drive 80% of your product. So therefore you need to promote the hell out of the 20% that everybody wants.
Yeah. So tell me,
and so it's just getting those mindsets into the business.
Yeah. Do you think women have a particular mindset? You know, this particular event, you know, we're running is particularly for women in business. Do you think mindset is different to men's mindset? You know, from your experience and expertise, are you finding similar challenges or different challenges?
I think women, well, first of all, a lot of women that go into business might tend to, for example, go into creative businesses, product-led businesses. So my experience of women is very much around, you know, fashion, beauty, accessory, all of those things tend to be women, female-led businesses, not always, because I've worked in 2 lingerie businesses all run by men, but they owned the businesses. They weren't the product people, right?
Yeah.
But I think the thing that women struggle with in the consumer, the business that I'm expert in, which is consumer businesses, is they're perceived as being a little bit creative and fluffy, and therefore not understanding money. So sometimes perhaps they're not taken seriously around money, particularly because the products they're dealing with, we can all do without lipstick.
Yeah.
But actually, what happens in a recession? You sell more lipstick, right? It's not an essential.
Yeah.
You probably sell more takeaway pizzas and more lipstick because they're little things that can make you feel better.
Right.
So actually, the sales of dresses drop in a recession, but lipstick, little small treats for women, beauty creams, that sort of thing, actually go up, right? So men, for example, men would think, oh, well, in a recession, you're not going to sell many lipsticks. No, actually, we need to invest in more lipsticks because that's what's going to get us out of recession. Yeah. So what I'm saying is sometimes women aren't taking seriously enough about money, number one. Number two, perhaps less so with the younger generation, but I think maybe the way women have been brought up, depending on the family they come from, the men manage the money and the women spent the money, that sort of attitude. So I think women do have something to prove, and it's important when they go into business that they are able to demonstrate an understanding of money. And some women, because they don't understand it, get a bit fluffy about it and go, oh, well, that's a numbers thing and my accountant deals with that. Or, I think it's really important to take it seriously and challenge yourself to learn a bit about it. I mean, I was rubbish at maths at school and I just got myself into a mindset that I couldn't do maths. I then did a business studies degree and I actually did statistics as part of that degree.
Wow.
I don't know how. Because eventually, when I got older, I had a teacher who taught me in a different way and I got the hang of it.
Fantastic.
But once you've got your head into, I can't do numbers, I don't understand money, that's a bad mindset to have. So I think you do need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And you do need to challenge yourself to understand it so that you can be taken seriously as a leader of your business.
And I think we all can do it. Yeah, can't we? It's just take you away from the thing that you love doing. If you love retail, if you love design and fashion, if you it takes you away from the thing you love. But you don't want to have someone giving you advice when it might, and you are not able to challenge them or question them about it.
Exactly. And this is the thing. The other thing is you don't want to just hand it over, because I think we've all seen this, where you hand it over lock, stock and barrel to a external person or someone in your organization. And you can't challenge them or understand the numbers. You need to be in control of your business. I mean, it's this fine line between management, isn't it? You don't want to be micromanaging everybody, but you need everybody to know that you've got your eye on the ball.
Yes.
And I know a number of entrepreneurs, a couple of occasions, their business has been growing, they've stepped aside, got a CEO in, a couple of years down the line, things have gone off the boil, they've had to step back into the business again, because there's nothing like the owner who owns that vision and that brand still being involved in the business. And there's no surprise that those people who are still, with the name over the door and are still connected to the business are more successful businesses.
Yes. And I think, sometimes we may worry about getting into debt, but this is about business. It's not about personal debt. You're investing.
No, it's not. And this is the other thing is, and I would say particularly for women, is fear of money. Yeah. So I think it's worth just having a little chat with yourself and say to yourself, what is my relationship with money like? And, being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because we all know, I mean, I've got 2 daughters. I've got one's a spender and one's a saver.
Okay.
Right. And that's just how they are. So one is, as soon as they've got the money, they spend it. The other one all tucks it away.
Yeah.
Tucks it away. And it's just an attitude to money.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm a little bit like that myself, I'm sort of here today, gone tomorrow, So you need to understand that about yourself. So I know I need to have a good relationship with my accountant who has to keep me, you can't do that, Jackie. You can't do that. You've got to do this.
Yeah.
And I just need somebody to tell me what to do and I'll do it. But I do understand also the numbers, and I know when the numbers are going wrong.
Yeah.
So I think you just definitely for women, or to anybody in business, but definitely women need to understand the relationship with money. And if they know, for example, particularly a very creative person, often a very creative person wants to spend, the packaging to be perfect, the branding to be gorgeous, the website to be excellent.
Yeah.
You need to have a little conversation with yourself, perhaps when you're starting in the initial stages, actually 85%, 80% is okay.
Yeah.
You can always come back to it. And actually the thing to know is it's better to make a decision today, get that website up. It's not quite perfect. I know, not quite perfect, not quite the right photographer. You'd like this, that, and the other, but let's go with it. Let's start driving the train and making the business happen, getting some sales. And then we can always come back to it another time when we've made some money and improve it.
Yeah.
So, because perfectionism is a real problem for managing money.
Yeah.
Because, I know so many great marketeers of great product and they spent all the budget on the marketing or the packaging and then there's no money for sales.
Yeah. No.
So you've really, really be honest with yourself about that and really, or have somebody you're working with who says to you, do you know what? It's not perfect, but we've got to stop now.
Yeah.
Because I've seen perfectionist, creative people just go on and on and on. And then, a year will go by, you could have been making sales and you still haven't launched the business.
Gosh, yeah.
That's an extreme example.
Yeah, I also think that sometimes we put ourselves down a bit. I don't know if you watched The Apprentice. I watched it last night. I watched some of it last night. And there was a woman at the end in the room. And, when they're sort of fighting it out to see who will be fired. And they asked her a question. She said, "No, I'm not very confident." And I thought, "Oh, don't tell them that you're not confident."
No.
But luckily she did survive. And I wonder, sometimes with the money aspect, if we just have to fake that we're all right with it until we're ready.
Yes, and also, I watched The Apprentice in the first series. I could hardly do, because I have worked in private equity and in corporate finance, right? And of course, it wouldn't be a fun show if people were all perfect and pitching wonderfully, because I'd like to be downstairs giving them some tips, especially before they pitch.
Yeah.
But look at The Apprentice. How many was there? 4 men and 1 woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how life is.
Yeah.
4 men. And, every year when I think the original lady left, I can't remember who she was, they were struggling to find another woman to go on there. Yeah. They've got loads of men, but they've got to have a woman. They can't have all men. So that is what you're up against.
Absolutely.
And the men, no matter, particularly money men, I'm probably just going to be quite controversial, they are still very alpha.
Yeah.
And that money world is still populated majority alpha males.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you're only as good as your last campaign. You're only as good as your last deal.
Yeah.
It's a very alpha testosterone world. And I've noticed that the women who are in that world, this is no disrespect to those women, you have to take on some of those traits to survive in that world. I've noticed it because I've gone from fashion into corporate finance, completely different environment.
Absolutely.
And so I think, things have changed and moved on and life is a bit different, but it's still, the reality is that it's an alpha world dominated by alpha men who tend to have the view deeply ingrained that women don't understand money and they waste it.
And that's why we've got this event, because we're going to change that.
Yes, exactly. So we've got a big job to do to really show them that we get money.
We have. I met Margaret Mountford last week, actually. I was on I think it was last week or the week before. I was on.
Who did you? Oh, Margaret Mountford.
Yes, the Apprentice woman, and she was the host of the panel. She was really wonderful, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I said to her,
no, she's fantastic. I also met Deborah Meaden in the street once.
Oh, really?
And I thought I knew, like you see them on TV, you thought, so I went hi, and I realised afterwards, I don't know you, I've just seen them on television. Anyway, she was very nice.
Good. And that's
but she's actually, she's a great example, I think, of a very practical, Noah's and Grace's sort of person who talks a lot of sense. But I think, and I know there's one particularly lady I've worked with, a lady called Laura Tennyson, who runs Jojo Maman Baby,
Laura,
who's a previous businesswoman of the year and all those. She's a fantastic example of a woman who has got her arms all around that business, but also has brought a lot of female attributes to her business in terms of how she behaves with people, the social conscience she has going in her business. And the interesting thing is that the men in the investment community love her and her business because she makes lots of money. So she's a great example to say, I can be a woman and bring all these female attributes to a business and make lots of money.
Fantastic.
So it's doable.
We need more of that. We don't have to be changed. So thank you so much. I mean, you shared so much already, but tell us about the title of your talk. It's and what you aim to share with women who come along. Not too much, because we don't want to give it all away. But what do you think about?
Well, the title of my talk is Money Makes Money. And it's a funny old thing. It's something my father used to say to me. And my father was just a very ordinary man. And you know, things that your parents say to you when you're younger, you don't really, you just accept them. You don't really understand them. The other thing he used to say to me was champagne taste, lemonade pocket. And I never knew what that was until I was about 30.
Right.
And I realised that, you know, had a lot of credit card debt. I understand what that meant. So money makes money is the fact that we can't ignore it. You know, we in business, we have to come to terms with money. We need money in our business, and we are there to make money. And of course, there's a little bit of an English thing as well, and even worse for, you know, we need to be ashamed of wanting to make money. And I'm always amazed, you know, at Americans. They just have sort of a different gene to us, don't they? In terms of, they can sell ice to Eskimos. They can self-promote themselves like you can't believe. They're just, and we Brits, you know, we just look crazy, you know, like little wallflowers. So money makes money is kind of like, it's okay. We can talk about money. We can be proud of money. We shouldn't be shy of money. And we need money to make money. And actually, why are we in business? Yes, of course, we want to serve our customers and all the rest of it and do all these good things in the world, but we can't do without money.
No.
So being successful, the more successful you are, and it's also not just a business thing, it's almost, you know, strays into the political arena as well, because there's a lot of stuff in the world at the moment about big business not being good for society. But of course, we have to have business. It creates employment, and employees pay taxes, and businesses pay corporation taxes. And obviously, there's a big thing in the world at the moment that a lot of these global businesses are avoiding. They're making money, and they're not putting into the pot, the society pot, which I have to say is a little bit of a red rag to me. But, you know, money makes money. We have to, you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer hasn't got a limitless budget to spend endlessly. You can only have that money if everybody's employed and we're all paying taxes and businesses are doing well and making profits. So let's just embrace money and not make it like, it's not a dirty thing, you know, it's not a dirty thing. And if we didn't have money, we'd have sheep and goats and we'd be doing that and we'd be talking about those. But you've got to have a basis for exchanging services and goods that meet consumers' needs. And so, let's
and I
just
actually think the more we
love money.
The transparency around the gender pay gap now, you know, like organisations like the BBC saying how much people are paid, that sort of thing enables us to start having more open conversations about money, because I think because it's been hidden, sometimes it seems like something I can't talk about.
Well, also, a lot of it's down to how we value ourselves as women. And, you know, and I can see that even as I started out in consultancy, right? So you start out as a consultant on your own. Number one, people tend to think that because you're female, you've got a husband at home, he's earning all the money, and you're just doing it for a bit of extra cash, right? So you might go and say, what's your daily rate? So let's say I say my daily rate would be, I'd think, oh, you know, £200 a day. And a guy would just go in there and go, well, I'm £500 a day. And another guy would go, yes, that's fine, because a guy would not challenge another guy. Right, a man to man would not challenge another man about, because he'd be thinking, yeah, I'm worth that too. He's saying he's worth 500 quid, I get that. But if a woman went in and you said, oh, it's £500 a day, and they might go, oh, okay, well, give us a cost. And then they try to chip you on the price or whatever. And also, women just aren't confident enough. Women tend to go in and go, I think £200 will be acceptable. I might be rejected at £500.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I think we definitely have a mindset, and I've seen it, where men can just go in and command, you know, £5,000 a day for their services. I don't know so many women that do the same thing, or if they do, they have to have it has to be Deborah Meaden, or, you know, somebody's got a real track record. And it's just how we value ourselves and how we are perceived as being valued by the person who is the other side of the desk, which is usually particularly a man. And so I think we just need to get confident about valuing ourselves and worth it.
We're running out of time. Absolutely. Understanding that we're worth it is absolutely key. So I don't know, we've got just a couple of minutes left. It's gone so quickly. I could talk to you forever. But I definitely feel that I've seen, you know, what you've shared is you've got a huge amount of knowledge and expertise to share with us. You've got some real top tips and some real strategies for us to get a handle on our own mindset around money, but also not just the mindset, but also the practical steps to start thinking about changes that you're going to bring to this event on the 22nd of November. I think anyone in your session is going to leave really full of knowledge, full of expertise, and full of motivation and a sense of confidence to start actually making a difference in their business and in their life. I really get a sense of that if I missed out on going to your session, that I'd miss out on a wealth of knowledge and opportunity that actually would cost me a fortune, because I don't know what your day rates are, but I know it wouldn't be cheap. So I know that.
Well, I'm very happy giving stuff for free in my dotage.
Right. Okay. What a kind and generous person you are. So I'm really looking forward to the 22nd of November. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to offer. I think people will be rushing to your session, and people need what you have to offer. And I think that benefit of knowledge, that benefit of expertise, that benefit of understanding lots of types of businesses, from huge corporates to smaller organizations, is something that a lot of people don't get. And I think that they're going to.
And I see women particularly, when they start out doing it in a small way, it's this thing about valuing themselves. So you need to value yourself, and you need to be prepared and learn how to say no.
Absolutely.
So in order to value yourself, you need to be able to say, okay, well, if you're not prepared, that's the price, or I can do a negotiation around it. But actually, I know I'm worth that. So if you can go and find somebody who's going to give you something as good as I've got, or whatever it is, I have to walk away from this. Absolutely. And so don't be afraid to say no. That's a big thing for women to learn.
Thank you. All right, we've come to the end. So thank you so much. That's been so informative, so useful. I'm looking forward to see you on the 22nd of November. Lots of people do book. We're already, actually really doing very well on our bookings. So I don't want people to wait because they're going to miss out, unfortunately. So please, people do book. Come along, meet Jackie and the other 8 amazing.
Yes, no, I'd love to meet people.
Yeah.
I mean, I never, all of these events, I love to do them because you always meet some interesting people, new group of people, make some new connections, and it's a great way to network, rather than, go to a networking event. It's much better to network around a topic of mutual interest. So this is a great opportunity for everybody.
Yes, and we'll have some fun too. So thank you, Jackie. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
We've got a Twitter chat next week where we're really going to focus in on this topic of how to make money. So next Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. join us on Twitter. If you follow the hashtag Making Cash Flow, you'll be able to follow that conversation. So thanks so much, Jackie. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jenny. Goodbye.